So Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now firing back at a Republican representative after one of his friends rescinded an invitation for her to come visit a coal mine in Kentucky. So now this is a bit of an interesting story, a little bit of context here, or a lot of context that is needed, but originally Representative Andy Barr had invited AOC out to have her speak with coal miners after she, of course, came out on record and said, yes, I believe in the Green New Deal. In fact, I introduced a Green New Deal. I think it's going to be better for our environment, and it's going to be better for, workers, etc. It's a fantastic program, right? Now, Barr says, well, why don't you have them? Why don't you have her, you come down and you tell coal miners to their face that the Green New Deal, that is going to destroy their jobs, how it's better for them. So now, of course, the whole intent is one of those, haha, got you moments. You're not going to do it because you're going to have to actually come down. You're going to have to talk to people in my district and tell them why you want to eliminate their jobs. And of course, most establishment Democrats, they never go for that. They're like, oh, no, Republicans, you're right. No, I'm not going to push for this bold policy at all. Right? They're always too scared to do that. AOC, she has no fear. She has the facts, so she can come down and say, look, solar is a growing industry, several times larger than coal. What the Green New Deal has is that it has a transition period. What we're going to do is we're not just going to leave you behind. Any plan that eliminates a sector of the economy when it comes to fossil fuels and energy is going to be made up for by another part of that the economy in the Green New Deal. So, for example, coal miners will go and work at solar plants, or they'll work on windmills and things like that, or I should say wind turbines, right? So, as I said, it's a smart thing to do, and I actually do encourage her to go and talk to those people in West Virginia and these mining towns and tell them, hey, we got your back. We'll get you out of the coal mines and into something better and cleaner, and we'll still have you'll still have good jobs, but you won't have to destroy the environment to feed your family. So now she was invited. She said, absolutely. That threw this Andy Barr into a little bit of a panic. He's like, oh, crap. We didn't actually mean to invite you because you're going to talk to people and you actually made a lot of sense. So, we need an excuse. Now we need a way to uninvite her. Ilhan Omar. She said something bad about 9/11, which she didn't. She said that some people did something, and then we're Muslims are losing civil rights, and then Dan Crenshaw came and attacked her, and then you attacked Dan Crenshaw, but now you need to apologize to Dan Crenshaw, or else you're uninvited. You're uninvited. That is such a gigantic case, a very clear case of moving the goalposts, as usual. Now, AOC responded to that by saying, the GOP thought that they could catch us with a bluff. Now we've got them on their back foot stutter stepping. Hashtag too late. So now enter another player into this. So already you have Ilhan Omar, AOC, Andy Barr, and Dan Crenshaw. Now here comes Representative James Comer, who's a Republican. Now, Comer offered a different reason as to why Andy Barr rescinded his coal mine invite. He said, Ocasio-Cortez is a movement of millennials that follow her. She's a lot more prepared when she comes to committee meetings. She is smart, and I think that we need to be very prepared when we debate her on issues that we're having a hard time with. There's still a future for coal, but we need to make sure that we're debating the right people on that issue. And apparently AOC is not the right people, and he goes on to explain why. I don't see any upside to bringing Ocasio-Cortez in. It's not likely that a visit would change her views about coal in part because she's pretty set in her ways. And that was in a radio interview. AOC responded by saying, quote, GOP is getting scared that up close their constituents will realize I'm fighting harder for their health care than their own representatives. Now, what does healthcare have to play in it? the Green New Deal also says that Medicare for all would be a gigantic part. So, as well as the Green Jobs Guarantee. Now, Comer had a response to that. LOL, my constituents know that your socialist policies, like Medicare for all and Green New Deal, will not work. Well, is that so? Well, how come you and your buddy are so scared to have her come and talk to those? It's not as if Bernie Sanders just recently went on Fox News and got a room full of what we assume are mostly Republicans to cheer for single payer, right? Oh, right, that actually did happen. And it turns out that even those supposed socialist policies are actually incredibly unpopular, or are incredibly popular, even with Republicans. Weird. It's almost as if populism works and Americans want healthcare and don't actually want to destroy the environment to help coal, oil, gas, and companies make more profit. But no, they're using Omar as an excuse. Barr is, and now Comer is saying, well, she's not going to change her mind anyway. The whole point is not to change her mind; it's to talk to constituents and to explain to them why these programs, these policies, would actually be incredibly beneficial. And so she should be able to do that. And of course, she could go down to Kentucky anytime herself and do the same thing. So it is kind of interesting how they rescinded that invitation, even though it's not there's not something barring her from going to Kentucky. And I actually hope she does go. But look, using Omar as an excuse, it's ridiculous. Omar's got nothing to apologize for. Right-wingers get their feelings hurt, as usual. And especially when it's pointed out by AOC, and this is what Dan Crenshaw got his panties in a bunch for, right-wing extremists were behind all U.S. domestic terrorist killings, as she pointed out. Maybe Republicans should help do something about that instead of go after Ilhan Omar. And not only that, but Republicans don't even care about giving health care to 9/11 first responders. That's also a clapback that she made. You want to talk about hypocrisy, right? But the whole thing is to try to find a way to disinvite a congresswoman who called them out in their ridiculous bluff. Don't mess with AOC. She will burn you every time. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.